This is going to be longer than normal since it's the season finale, possibly the series finale, and a lot of stuff happened. So, just bear with me, please. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We are just wrapping up coverage of Season 2, so you can go back and watch the other review episodes or wait for my Best of Season 2 video, which should come out in the next week or two. If you aren't a subscriber, go ahead and make the commitment. Click that sub button, and while you're at it, hit the notification bell to make sure you know when new content comes out. Lastly, I now have a Patreon account set up, so if you find value in this content, consider hopping over there and throwing a buck in. Okay, enough with the self-promotion, on to the review. The first 5 of these are from episode 9, and the second 5 will be from episode 10. Starting us off at number 10 is GARET, Jax, and the Gnomes. GARET's character has been slowly growing on me as the season has progressed, and this was another nice place to see his more heroic side coming out. But that's not the real reason this moment made my top 10. It's the Gnomes. If you haven't read the books, then this probably doesn't seem that strange or good to you, but for those of us who have read all the books, seeing the Gnomes in a more heroic posture is great. They are basically the generic bad guy of the series. Initially it was the trolls and the gnomes, but the trolls eventually became good guys, which just leaves the poor gnomes to, go it alone. So it was nice to see the gnomes painted in a more heroic light. Bravo, writers. Coming in at number 9 is the ENCLAVE. Okay, so one of the issues I have had with the environmental design of the show, since the first season even, is how much of our world is left over, like the Golden Gate Bridge, etc. When they show us a more complete look at the Enclave in this episode, it gets even worse. Now, myself and others had assumed that the writers had compressed the time between the fall of our world and the rise of the Four Lands, which would explain why things like highway signs, office buildings, and computer parts might still be around, but we were wrong. ALLANON says it himself at the beginning of this season, when he tells Riga that the Druids have served the Four Lands faithfully for thousands of years. There is no way that all of this material from our world would still be around 2,000+ years from the Great War that ended our world. There's just no way at all. It is very irritating, which is why everything in the Enclave just rubbed me the wrong way. Number 8 is the Golden ELFSTONE. Look under your chair. You get an ELFSTONE. You get an ELFSTONE. I just wanted to throw something at the TV when Cogline identified it as a golden ELFSTONE. She's not an elf. She can't use an ELFSTONE. That's why they're called ELFSTONEs, because only elves can use them. Also, is everyone in the Shannara universe now descended from an ancient magical family? Will, Mareth, Eretria, and now Lyria. The Four Lands is practically littered with secretly magic people. It completely removes the uniqueness of the Omsford and Druid characters when you do things like this, and it is completely unnecessary. Want Lyria to be the only one who can open Heaven's Well? Easy. Just have the explanation be that the Druids created the temple to only respond to the blood of Ali. No convoluted magical family backstory required. Problem solved. Number 7 is BANDON. I just don't get it. This seems like a waste of his character and arc in the story. I think we were all assuming he was going to die, and we were all hoping for him to have a last moment of goodness that comes surging to the surface, forcing him to revolt against the Warlock Lord. We got the inevitable betrayal, but instead of it being a catalyst for BANDON to sacrifice himself for the greater good, it becomes a bad guy trying to stab another bad guy in the back moment, which is boring. Number 6. ALLANON gets emotional. I love the scene between ALLANON and Will on the eve of the climactic battle. I mean, he gave an actual pep talk to Will. They even hug at the end. I mean, come on. It was nice to see ALLANON's arc complete. He has accepted he has a child, had feelings for that child grow into something real and precious, and then see that child step up to embrace her destiny that will lead her to become greater than he is. And most importantly for a parent, to see that child find love with someone who is worthy of it. It was very cool. 6B, an honorable mention I'm going to throw in here, is Mareth and Will. We all saw it coming, but the way they handled it was pretty nice, I think. I was ticked off for a long time that they had changed the storyline from the books concerning Will's love life. But even though it isn't my favorite, I think I'm okay with this. what they could do going forward is interesting. If there is a season 3, they could do the Wish Song story now. Since they have established Will has magic in his blood, somehow, and Mareth has innate magic, which interestingly enough, one of her main powers we see in the show mirrors the powers of Jer's version of the Wish Song, namely creating illusions when he sings. They could easily explain Will's children having the Wish Song now, due to his magical blood and Mareth's innate magic, and that could be very, very interesting. These next bits are from episode 10, so if you haven't seen it yet, I would stop here. Number 5 is ALLANON'S Last Stand. Allanon knew he couldn't beat the Warlock Lord, which is from the books. Only the Sword of Shannara can kill him. In the books, this is because it isn't overwhelming power or pointy sticks that can kill him, but the truth, which was the main power of the sword in the books. I really liked how they handled his final stand. And technically he isn't dead. He was sent to the third ring of the forbidding. While the concept of rings is made up for the show, the idea of Allanon being trapped in the forbidding means that technically he can come back. In the later books, it is revealed there is actually a way to venture into the forbidding and make it back out. And later in this episode, they showed opening a druid portal to the forbidding to banish the Mordwraith that had been possessing Eretria. So if there is a way in, there is a way out. Doors work both ways. Number 4 is magical retina scans. I actually laughed at this, I'm not going to lie. I mean, seriously. Apparently anyone can use ELFSTONEs now, elven blood or not, and they have embedded retinal scanners in them as well. Yeah, I just can't deal with this, so I'm moving on, but I had to mention it. Number 3 is Eretria. They spent 2 seasons building up Eretria into this walking, talking, butt-kicking machine, especially in this season, and then just ruin it all at the last moment by making her succumb to darkness and become a puppet. There weren't even moments where you see her fighting back. Just good old possessed rover girl wrecking everyone's day. It completely ruined her character's development this season for me, and it was a total shame. Number 2, get your story straight. So at the beginning of the season, the Warlock Lord is going to invade Heaven's Well to drink from it to restore his magic. I mean, they literally talked about it 50 times at the beginning of the season. Then at the back end of the season, they have decided that he was going to poison the well to take over the world. At what point did the plan change? When did they find out his new plan? Since they were obviously under the impression that he just needed to recharge his batteries. Consistency is incredibly important in shows like this, so it's a tad troubling to see this happen. That being said, him corrupting the headwaters of the Silver River with his blood was a more interesting plot point. So, good with the bad. And number 1, for the last time this season, is everyone's in the forbidding. So yeah, the climactic moment at the end was interesting. Killing the Warlock Lord was okay. I like the concept that they killed each other, essentially. The Elcrease made it clear Will had to be willing to give up his life to save the world, and he was prepared to. I don't have much of a problem, as others have, with Will walking around and talking after being run through with the Warlock Blade. Given shock, adrenaline, and, magic blood being in the mix. But I get how that would irritate others. I like the symmetry of Will's blood cleansing the stain of Brona's, and I'm very glad they didn't go the trite route and have him do a crucifixion-like pose as he fell into the water. Yeah, it was close, but they did the right thing and didn't go full Christ figure. What I found interesting, if not completely puzzling, is it appears that Will is now in the forbidding as well. Those were Furies flying above him, and the only place you see them is either in the forbidding or in the far, far past during the Age of Fairy. So assuming they didn't send him back in time a million years, he is now trapped in the forbidding as well, which could be interesting. I imagine the story will be Will searching for Allanon and then finding a way out, or Allanon finding him and then they together, find a way out. This echoes a storyline from the books where a druid, who also happens to be an Omsford, is sent into the forbidding, and another Omsford is sent in to find her and bring her back out. While that is all well and good, this would have been the perfect time, in my opinion, to introduce the King of the Silver River. He could have saved Will by bringing him into his realm, which is an alternate dimension much like the Forbidding, to heal and rest. He could then give Will a magic talisman or something that would allow him to breach the walls of the Forbidding and rescue Allanon. This would allow a great, useful character from the books to make his way into the series in a believable, relatable way. But as I have said many times, no one asked me. All right, that is the last of my reviews for Season 2. I hope you've enjoyed what I've been doing and have gotten something out of it. I feel like we have. There's been great conversation and a real community has kind of built that I am very thankful for. And so the next video you will see from me is going to be the Elcrease history video. And in that video, I will be announcing the first winner of the $25 Amazon gift card. Very excited about that. So in the meantime, you can find me on Twitter. Link is in the description, and you can find me on Facebook if you have any questions or suggestions. And as always, if you have a video idea you would like me to consider doing, just put them in the comments here, or you should throw them at me on Twitter or Facebook, and I will see what I can do. All right, we'll see you in the next video.